On ABC Radio Adelaide, South Australia and Broken Hill, this is Cassie Hough.
Hi, it's great to have your company this Wednesday afternoon. Have you found yourself doing a bit more shopping online since COVID-19 started? Or maybe you planted a veggie garden. Soon you're going to hear from a man whose job it is to work out what behaviours are going to stick around and which ones will end when the COVID-19 restrictions end. It's a topic that's being tackled at the Food South Australia Summit that's on in Adelaide today. Gihan Pereira is the keynote speaker at the event today, and it's his job to prepare businesses for an uncertain future. And he joins me now. Hi, Gihan.
Yeah, hi, Cassie. How are you going?
I'm well, thank you. So you're a futurist. What does a futurist do?
Well, we don't have a crystal ball, but what we do is we look at trends. So we look at things that are happening elsewhere in the world. We look at trying to have some idea about the future based on what's happened in the past. And it's really looking at helping businesses understand what might be coming up in the future and what they need to do now to be prepared for that.
COVID-19 has thrown a shadow over everything this year. We've heard stories about how some businesses have thrived during this time. They've been more in demand. Some were less in demand, particularly those who supplied the restaurant trade and things like that. What have you seen? Yeah,
that's exactly right, Cassie. You know, you hear some people say we're all in the same boat, but I don't think that's true. We're all in the same storm, but we've all got our own boats and we've got to navigate our way through it. And exactly that in the food and beverage industry. If you've been a producer and you've been supplying to supermarkets and food stores, retail stores, then you've probably done really well. Whereas if you've been supplying to cafes and restaurants and hotels and hospitality industry, then it's been the exact opposite. And it has hit food businesses really hard. And of course, in regional areas as well, because there are many of the places where the food's being sourced.
Consumers have in some ways changed their ways of doing things. I mean, I probably, even myself, find myself doing larger shops less often. Do you see changed behaviours like that continuing?
Yeah, that's right. And what's going to happen in the future is that there's some people who are doing things now that they've never done before. So there are many people who've never done online shopping before, and now they've done that. They've tried it out because they were forced to, or they were worried about going out and spending a lot of time outside, like you said, Cassie, doing doing big shops less frequently, as well as doing things like contactless payments, which they may have never done before. They may have never done cashless payments before. They may have never paid with their phone. So all of these things have now become, they're not necessarily going to continue doing that 100% of the time, but now they've got more options. And the businesses that offer multiple ways of payment, multiple ways of buying, if they have an online presence, which they may never have had before, but they've been forced to, then some people are going to be buying online. So those are the sort of things that are happening in terms of what consumers are looking for. And also, whenever we have a crisis, we tend to become a bit insular and we kind of look after ourselves and become more local and support our local businesses that are staying open to allow us to survive through this crisis. So there's going to be a little bit of that as well. There's very much a sentiment towards Australian-made and buy Australian, and Australian businesses can take advantage of that, and we should. We should look after our own backyard as much as we can. So some of those trends are going to continue for a while, as well as trends like the social distancing, which of course we have to do until we know that we're really safe, and that might be a while away. So I can see that social distancing is going to be around for a while unless we completely eliminate the virus.
But people are even buying things like chickens and planting vegetables. Do you see this drive for more self-sufficiency lasting as well?
I think there'll be a little bit of that, Cassie, and I don't think that'll be a huge trend. There's been a lot of talk about that, even on a bigger scale, so saying we need to move some of our manufacturing back to Australia, we need to move some food production back to Australia so that we're not so reliant on global markets. Now, with food, for one thing, we never have to worry. We've got very strong food security. We already produce 2 or 3 times as much food as we need in Australia, so we don't need to worry too much on that side. But it's typical. It's typical that when we have a problem and there are outside forces, we try to think, well, we need to be more self-sufficient. I think there'll be a little bit of that, but that's not going to be a big trend in the future. I think that's just a kind of an instant reaction to suddenly seeing that we're a little bit vulnerable. But we don't need to worry about that in the long term. It's not like everyone's going to be planting a veggie garden in their backyard.
But what can food and beverage businesses do to work with this recovery?
Well, I think there are three things that businesses can do. And actually this applies to all businesses, whether they're food and beverage or not. But if you're running a business, I think there are three things that you should look at immediately. So the first thing is get an online presence. So if you don't have a website, then get a website. And now it's very, very affordable to create a website. It's not going to cost you thousands of dollars. You may know someone who can create one for you. And that's the first thing that you should do. And then start to not just have the website, but also use social media so you can promote the website. And if you're the sort of person who doesn't know about Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and TikTok or whatever, don't worry, because there are people who know that, and they're called teenagers. So you can enlist a teenager. It might be in your own family, it might be in the community. Find someone who can help you with the social media side of it. So that's the first thing, is actually create that online presence, and the second thing is actually take online orders. It's very easy to create an online shop, and if you don't get any orders, it doesn't matter because it hasn't cost you much time or money. And if you get lots of orders, great. And again, it's coming back to what we were saying earlier, Cassie, that people are much more comfortable now with buying online. So having that online presence is going to be a really big advantage for you in the future. And look, the third thing is just don't try and do it yourself. Now's the time to partner with as many people as you can, partner with other businesses in your community so that you can create packages and experiences, partner with your staff members. You've probably got really smart, savvy staff members and team members who've got lots of skills that you're not taking advantage of. They've probably got lots of ideas that could help you. And of course, work with industry groups like Food South Australia, who are really working really hard for the entire industry. So whatever your industry is, you've probably got a professional association that's helping you with that. I think there's some great opportunities, and the people who take advantage of the opportunities now are the ones who are really future-proofing their business, and they're the ones who are going to be the most successful for the future. And it's happened with every crisis that we've had in the past, and it's going to happen with this one as well.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. That was Guillaume Pereira, who is the keynote speaker at the Food South Australian Summit, which is on right now.
Yeah, my pleasure.